Stop building for where you are and build for where you are going. One of the most quietly expensive patterns in the small business world. Maybe you've outgrown your business and you don't even realize it. The reason it feels like you're working at full capacity and still not breaking through, it's not because your offer is necessarily wrong and not because your marketing is failing, and it's not because you need a new strategy tonight or a niche or brand direction. It's because you're running a next level vision on a current level infrastructure, and that's not going to work. Your systems were built for a smaller version of you and a smaller version of your business.
If you're working harder than ever, but still feel like your business can't break through to the next level, this episode will completely change the way you think about growth. Learn how to build systems that support the business you're becoming, not the one you've already outgrown.
Here we go. Welcome to the Digital Shift. I am Jessica Green, your host today, and this is episode 86. Stop building for where you are and build for where you are going. I'm going to get totally CEO on you, but welcome back to the Digital Shift. I am Jessica Green, CEO and founder of the Self-Made Hub and the Tech Savvy Mentors, business strategist, a mentor, and your favorite unapologetic systems kind of nerd. And if you are brand new here, welcome. Genuinely, this is a good one to start with. I want to open up today with something that I think is one of the most quietly expensive patterns in the small business world. And it does not get talked about enough. And when it does get named, most people nod and move on without actually doing anything about it. And I want that to stop for you here. If you're a founder, you're a CEO, you're just getting your business started, or you're already doing multiple 6 or 7 figures, this episode is for you. I want to do something a little bit different today. I want to name what that problem is, and then I want to give you some of the tools to fix it. I'm going to give you some stats, just so you know this isn't just coming from me. There's some data that backs all of this up, and some real live experience and some analogies that really hits home, and you really see where maybe you've outgrown your business and you don't even realize it. The reason that growth can feel so hard right now, the reason it feels like you're working at full capacity and still not breaking through, it's not because your offer is necessarily wrong and not because your marketing is failing, and it's not because you need a new strategy tonight or a niche or brand direction. It's because you're running a next level vision on a current level infrastructure, and that's not going to work. Your systems were built for a smaller version of you and a smaller version of your business. Your processes were designed for a version of you that no longer exists. Your tech, your team structure, your delivery model, all of it was architected for where you were 6 months ago or a year ago or 2 years ago, and you've never done the upgrade. And everything you add on top of that outdated foundation just makes it heavier. More effort, more friction, more of that feeling like you're pushing against something that should not be this hard. You're not stuck because you're not working hard enough. You're stuck because you're working hard inside of the wrong container. Does that make sense? And here's the other thing I want you to hear before we go any further. The ceiling you keep hitting, it's not made of glass. It's made of systems that you just haven't upgraded yet. Today, we're going to talk about how to upgrade them, not by burning everything down to the ground and starting over, but by making the shift from building where you are to building for where you are going. So let's get into it. But before we talk about the actual build, I want to spend a few minutes on why this pattern happens in the first place, because I don't think that most entrepreneurs are consciously choosing to build small. I think they're responding to rationally to the pressure that they're under every single day. And that's exactly what makes it so hard to see from the inside. I got to see this last fall when I went and had a VIP day with another business owner that was a few steps ahead of me in building things that I wanted to build, and had her whole team audit our company. And man, you just can't see what you can't see when you're inside of the fishbowl, right? You build what you need right now because now is urgent. You fix what's breaking because what's breaking is visible, and the thing you have not built yet is invisible. You make decisions based on your current revenue, your current team, your current capacity. That's the information you have. And so you end up with a business that's perfectly optimized for the version of you that existed when you built it, and completely unprepared for the version of you that's coming. A study by the Startup Genome Project found that 74% of high growth startups fail, not because of bad products or poor marketing, but because of premature scaling into a structure that was not ready to hold growth. The foundation was not built for where they were trying to build on top of it. The same dynamic plays out inside every growing small business every day. We could see this happening to Self-Made. After we had that wonderful audit day last fall, we ran into a season of, all right, let's get all of this operating differently. Let's get the product, the offer, all the things on the team situated. And then as soon as we did, and we could see that this could carry us into momentum, we brought in an ops team to teach us how to build the moat around this business operationally, that it could scale systems, operations, SOPs, processes, hiring patterns, all of that, because we needed to be able to scale the business for the future of what we knew we could do, and not based on where we were at that moment. We needed professionals to help us do that. And I want to give you two pictures to hold in your mind, because I think the contrast makes this real. The reactive business, this is the business that is built to handle what is happening today. And we were doing it. I did it for years. And it was, yes, it will hold you exactly where you're at and not allow you to go any further. I can promise you that. If you stay in reactive business mode, you will stay stuck. And it's patched together over time. You add a tool here, a workaround there. You make a hire when things got desperate enough to, and it's always catching up, always one problem away from chaos. And the CEO or the founders are almost always in the middle of it, holding things together manually, because the systems were never built to hold them. And then there's the intentional business. This is the business that's built to hold what is coming next. Every system, every hire, every infrastructure decision is made with the future version of the business in mind. It feels like you're building ahead of yourself, and you are. And that's the point. When growth comes, the container's already there to hold it. The hard truth: most small business owners are running the first kind of business and calling it the second kind. The work feels like progress, the motion feels like building, but the structure is not keeping up, and you cannot scale a business that is architected for survival. We were running that first type of business, and then we have shifted over the last 6 months into the second kind of business. And just as I'm recording this, I just wrapped up this morning our 6-month plan for running to the end of the year, our 90-day plan, because we're about to head into the beginning of Q3, and our 30-day plan for July, right? You're probably listening to this and it's somewhere past that time frame, but as I'm recording it, that's the time frame we were in. Our entire team on Monday morning's meeting is getting our 6-month roadmap. They're getting our 90-day roadmap. They're getting our 30-day roadmap. They're getting a goal and a bonus if we hit the 6-month plan. So we already know what's coming 6 months from now that's going to set up all of 2027 as well. But if I wasn't planning that way, and I was only planning like 30 days at a time, and most of you aren't even doing that, the team doesn't know where to go, the infrastructure can't scale, your ops can't scale, you can't bring in enough capacity, you end up keep continuing on in survival mode. Think about what happens when a city grows faster than its infrastructure. The roads were designed for a population of 50,000 people, and then 100,000 people arrive. Suddenly, everything's a bottleneck. The roads, the water system, the power grid, the schools, the city's not failing because the people are bad or the economy is wrong. It's failing because the infrastructure was built for a smaller version of itself. Growing businesses work exactly the same way. When the volume exceeds the infrastructure, everything slows down and the people inside of it burn out trying to compensate manually. I have been there. If you've heard my story about the beanbag, 90 days just licking my wounds, then you know I've been there. Reactive businesses survive, intentional businesses scale. You get to choose which one you're building. All right, let's go from operator to architect. Before we get into the specific systems and mechanics, I want to talk to you about the identity shift that has to happen first. It's a mindset thing, because you can hand someone the exact blueprint, or we call it a flight plan around here, for a next level business, and they will still build a current level one if the mindset has not shifted. I've seen it happen so many times, and I have lived it myself. There are two ways of approaching the work of building a business. I call them operator and architect. And most entrepreneurs, small business owners, start as one and need to become the other. The operator mindset, it's focused on what needs to get done today. She makes a decision based on current capacity and current resources, but she builds what's needed right now and figures out the rest later. She's reactive by nature, always responding, always solving the immediate problem in front of her. And I want to be clear, the operator mindset is not wrong. In the early stage of business, being a real great operator is what keeps the lights on. You need that skill. You need that ability to move fast and handle what's in front of you. But there comes a point, and most of the entrepreneurs listening to this have passed it, where the operator mindset stops being an asset and starts being a ceiling. There's a research by Harvard Business School found that the number one reasons why CEOs of growing companies plateau is what's called the founder's trap, the inability to shift from doing work to designing the system that does the work. The skill that got the business to its current level becomes the barrier to reaching the next one. A great book to read is What Got You Here Won't Get You There. It is a wonderful book and it will teach you a ton. Go grab that one today. The architect mindset. The architect is focused on what the business needs to be able to do at the next level. She makes decisions based on where the business is going, not where it is. She builds infrastructure and ahead of time. She's proactively by design, always anticipating, always asking, what does the next version of this require? The architect looks at a follow-up system and asks, can this handle 10 times the current volume without me touching it? The architect looks at the team and asks, if revenue doubled tomorrow, where would this structure break? The architect looks at the tech stack and asks, was this built to survive or built to scale? These are completely different questions than the ones the operator asks, and they produce completely different businesses. Think about the difference between someone who buys furniture for the apartment they're in versus someone who buys furniture for the home they're building. The first person buys what fits right now. The couch that works in this living room, the table that fits this dining space. The second person buys with the future floor plan in mind. When she moves into the bigger space, everything fits. When the first person moves, she starts over. Business infrastructure works the same way. If you keep building for the apartment you're in, you're going to keep starting over every time you grow. And here's the shift I want you to make. Starting with this episode, stop asking, what do I need right now? Start asking, what does the next level version of this business actually require? Those two questions lead to two completely different decisions. And over time, they lead to two completely different businesses all together. Operators manage what is. Architects build what is coming. The businesses that scale are run by people who've made that exact switch. Now, the mechanics. Let's get into the mechanics. The mindset shift matters enormously, but it has to become concrete. It has to show up in specific decisions about specific systems. There's 4 areas where I see the infrastructure gap most clearly in growing businesses. And for each one, I want to give you the audit question and the build target. So area 1, your tech infrastructure. Most small business owners reach a certain level of growth and stop examining their tech. It works well enough. Things are moving. Why slow down to look under the hood? But it's well enough for now is not the same as built for what's coming. The tags that made sense when you had 200 contacts become a nightmare at 2,000. And the funnel that converted beautifully at 5K months started breaking at 50K months, not because the funnel is bad, but because it was never designed for that kind of volume. The pipeline that was logical for 10 clients becomes unmanageable for 50. The audit question, can your current tech stack handle 3 times your current volume without you manually intervening? If the answer is no, or you're not sure, that's information. That's your first build signal. The build target, a clean, scalable backend designed for where you're going. Tags that mean something and scale cleanly. Funnels built with next level traffic in mind. Pipelines that reflect reality instead of aspiration. According to a study, poor data quality by Gartner, driven by unscalable tagging, inconsistent CRM structures, and unclean pipelines cost businesses an average of, now big number, 12.9 million per year. Lost revenue, and because of operational inefficiency. For small businesses, the version of that number may be smaller, but the principle is still identical. A backend that was not built to scale becomes a revenue leak at scale. Think about the difference between a 2-lane road and a 6-lane highway. Both of them move cars. When traffic is light, the 2-lane road works perfectly well. But when volume increases, when the town grows and more people are driving, the 2-lane road becomes a bottleneck. You're not adding bad drivers, you're adding volume to infrastructure that was not designed to hold it, similar to the small city growing to a big city before they're ready. Your tech stack is your road system. Build the highway before the traffic arrives. All right, area 2, your team structure. Whew, this is a big one. And we didn't think we could afford to hire the team. So we delayed, and that actually cost us. We needed to create more capacity before we were ready for it. And so now we hire in a much different pattern. For most people, they hire for right now. A gap opens, something's breaking, and they fill it. And that's the operator approach to team building. The architect approach looks completely different. Instead of asking, what do I need to fill right now? The architect asks, what does my org chart look like 12 months from now? And how do I start hiring into that structure today? The audit question. If your revenue doubled tomorrow, where would your team break? Which function would collapse first? Which role would be stretched past capacity immediately? That function is your next build, not because it's breaking today, but because it will be the first thing to break when the growth you are chasing actually arrives. I can tell you right now, with our 6-month goal, exactly where we will break if we do not hire more capacity in this area. The build target, roles defined by outcomes, not tasks, an org structure designed for the business 12 months from now, not today. People hired into a system that's already ready for them, not a chaos they are expected to manage when they come in. We've already been doing that. We're correcting it right now. Area number 3, your delivery system. This is one that surprises most because most small business owners who have reached a consistent level of clients feel like delivery is handled. And it is for now, for this volume, at this price point. But here's a question I want you to sit with. If you raised your prices by 50% tomorrow, would your delivery system justify it? If you took on twice the amount of clients, would the experience hold? If you launched a new offer, would your fulfillment infrastructure support it? Or would you be manually cobbling it all together all over again? The audit question for you, is your onboarding, fulfillment, and client communication built to scale or built to survive? There's a meaningful difference. Survival systems depend on you. Scale systems run without you. And the build target, a delivery system that protects your standard at 2 or 3 times your current volume. Automated onboarding that runs the same way for every client, every time. Fulfillment that does not require your personal involvement to maintain its quality. Think about it like this. What's the difference between a handmade candle maker who pours every candle herself versus one who's documented her exact process, sourced consistent materials, and trained 2 other people to pour candles to her precise standard? Both make great candles, but only one of them can grow. The first one hits a ceiling the moment she runs out of hours. The second one scales because the standard lives in the system, not in her hands. Your delivery system is the same. When the standard lives in the system, it scales with you. When it lives in your head, it caps your capacity. Area number 4, your financial architecture. I'm not going to say something that is going to be sweet. It's going to probably sting a little. Most small business owners make financial decisions based on what's in the bank right now, not based on margins, not based on MRR trends, not based on client lifetime value or cost of acquisition or the actual profitability of each offer, but based on what's in the bank. And a certain level of revenue that's survivable at the next level is genuinely dangerous. The audit question, do you have a real-time visibility into your margins, your MRR, your client lifetime value, the profitability of each offer right now without pulling numbers manually from 4 different platforms? If the answer is no, and for most entrepreneurs it is, then you're making next level decisions with current level information, and that gap will cost you at scale. A build target, a financial dashboard and decision framework built for a CEO, real-time data, clear visibility into what's working and what is not, the ability to make a pricing decision, a hiring decision, or a growth decision with actual data underneath it, not a gut check and a bank balance. According to a SCORE report, 82% of small businesses that fail cite cash flow issues as the contributing factor, but the majority of these businesses had revenue. The issue was not income. It was financial visibility. They did not see the margin compression, the churn signal, or the offer underperformance early enough to act. Financial architecture is not accounting, it's intelligence infrastructure. You can't pour next level revenue into a current level container. Something will break. You have to build the container first. Let's audit. I want to give you a tool, something you can actually use today, not eventually, not when things slow down, but today. I call it a 5-question next level audit. And the purpose is simple, to show you clearly and honestly where you're building for where you are and for where you have already built, but for where you are going to go. Okay. I want you to answer each of these honestly, not aspirationally, not based on what you plan to build, but based on what actually exists in your business right now. Question 1. If you doubled your leads tomorrow, not someday, tomorrow, would your follow-up system handle it without you manually intervening? Would every lead get a response within minutes? Would the nurture sequence run automatically? Would no one fall through the cracks? Question number 2, if you doubled your clients tomorrow, would your delivery system protect the experience that you got here? Would every new client be onboarded to the same standard? Would the fulfillment run without you personally carrying it? Question number 3, if you doubled your team tomorrow, would your onboarding and training infrastructure hold? Would a new team member know exactly what to do on day 1 without you manually walking through it? Question number 4, if your revenue doubled tomorrow, would your financial tracking give you real clear time visibility into what changed and why? Would you know immediately what offers drove the growth, the margins look like, and what decisions the data was telling you to make? And question 5, if you stepped away from your business for 2 full weeks tomorrow, completely off grid, would it continue to run or would it slow down, stall, or stop? Now, that question number 5 might scare you a little bit. And I'm going to tell you, learn from people who are doing what you want to do. And so I can put my money where my mouth is, because as of the end of this week, as we roll into July, it's summer break for 2 weeks for this company. We go off grid. Technically not off grid because our systems are running behind the scenes, but all the staff is going off grid. We are taking 2 weeks away. We're calling it summer break. We want to test our systems. We want to reward our staff, and we want our business to be able to run when we do step away. It's a test, but it's also some rest. If the answer to any of the questions above were no, you're building for where you are, not for where you're going. And I want to be really clear about something here. That's not failure. It's just the reason, that you feel kind of behind and overwhelmed or like you've done something wrong. It's information, and it's exactly where you can start building. Think about a structural engineer doing a load assessment on a building. She's not there to condemn the building. She's there to understand exactly how much weight it can currently hold and what would need to be reinforced for it to hold more. That's what the audit is. It's your load assessment. It tells you where the structure is solid and where the reinforcement goes. Not everything needs to be rebuilt, but the things that need to be upgraded before you try to put more weight on top of them. The audit does not tell you how far behind you are. It tells you exactly where to start building, what to clean up, and where to go. I know it can happen when you go through an exercise like the audit. You see 5 areas, gaps in multiple places, and the instincts to try to fix everything at once. Please don't do that. Trying to rebuild everything simultaneously is how good intentions become abandoned projects, how motivated small business owners end up more overwhelmed 6 months later than they were when they started. And here's the principle I want you to carry out of this episode. One intentional upgrade changes the capacity of an entire system. Not an overhaul, one upgrade. Done well, built to last. So here's how to pick your first move. Go back to your audit answers. Find the questions where a no would cost you the most if you grew fast right now. Not the easiest thing to fix, but the most impactful thing to fix. The one that, if broke under pressure, would do the most damage to your revenue, your clients, your team, or your own sanity. That's what you're going to do and work on first. And here is the mindset I want you to bring to it. You're not fixing what's broken. You're building what's coming. That distinction changes everything. Fixing what's broken is reactive. It's stressful. It feels like damage control. Building what's coming is proactive. It's energizing. It feels like progress because it is. You're not patching a hole. You're laying a foundation. You're not catching up. You're getting ahead. Think about a marathon runner who discovers her shoes are worn down 6 weeks before race day. She has 2 options. She can keep running in the worn shoes and hope they hold, reactive, risky, and likely to cause injury right when it matters most. Or she can get new shoes now, break them improperly, and show up to race day fully prepared. The second runner did not wait until the race day to realize her shoes were wrong. She built for race day 6 weeks early. That is what this work is. You are not preparing for a crisis. You're going to prepare for the race you're already running and making sure your shoes are ready to cross the finish line. You do not need a complete overhaul. You need one intentional upgrade that changes the capacity of a whole system. So let me leave you with this. The small business owners who break through the next level are not the ones who work harder at the current level. They are the ones who stopped optimizing for where they are and started intentionally building for where they're going. They made the shift from operator to architect. from reactive to intentional, and from building for survival to building for scale. And that decision, that one shift of how you approach the work is available to you right now. The ceiling you keep hitting is not your limit. It's your next project, and you already know where to start. If you want support building the infrastructure your next level actually requires, if you want to move through this with people who have already built it and can help you build it faster, that is exactly what we do inside of Self-Made and our Tech Savvy School. We are also soon launching our VIP days where our team audits all of this inside of your business personally, just like I did. More details on that are coming soon, but if you want this for your business, reach out, email our team, support@self-made.biz, and we can get you on our calendar. Stop building for where you are, build for where you're going. And I will see you in the next episode. If you're getting value from these conversations, don't let this be the only episode that you listen to. Every episode of this podcast is designed to help you build a smarter business, one with real systems behind the scenes, not just ideas, motivation, or hustle. We break down what's actually working right now when it comes to automation, content, follow-up, and scaling without the burnout. If you want to see how all of this comes together in real life, I highly recommend watching the Self-Made Hub demo. Inside the Self-Made Hub, you'll see how entrepreneurs turn content into leads and leads into conversations and conversations into consistent sales using simple automated systems that don't feel overwhelming or cold. You can watch the demo anytime at self-made.biz/demo. Then queue up another episode because the shift doesn't happen from one conversation. It happens when you start connecting all the dots. And I'll see you in the next episode.